Hello, friends. Very, very good evening. And today's topic is going to be very interesting. I've taken this topic after reading a great book, which titles "The Four Agreements" by Don Miguel Ruiz. The title of the book is The Four Agreements. Now, let me tell you why I have chosen this particular book. But before I get into that, why I have chosen this particular book to be taken today, let me tell you about the summary of the book. The summary says that, first of all, this book was written and published in 1997. It is absolutely based on the ancient wisdom. The purpose is to teach simple rules to help you be a very happy person and a person absolutely stress free. So, my teaching is going to focus on how to live a great life, how to live a happy life, how to be a person of great personality. So, this is going to be a life changing session for you if you really be with me for maybe 20-25 minutes, and I believe you will definitely like the content which I'm going to talk to you today in this presentation. Now let me see, and let me share with you the core message of the book. What is the basic core message, why I have chosen this particular book? As I've told you that my teaching is going to focus on how to live absolutely a stress free, better, happy and healthy life, right? So the core message about this book is, this book talks about the four agreements. Now, what is agreement? First, agreement is a kind of uh, mutual understanding feature which you create with somebody, wherein you feel that you get the rights to abide to those norms which you have made with another person. Okay, so this is basically the four agreements which you should be making, not with anybody else but with yourself. Okay, these are the four agreements you will have to make with yourself to be a great person. Yeah. Now, what is the benefit of these agreements? The benefit of these agreements is it will help us stop believing things that hurt us as well as hurt others. That's the core function message. Now, lastly, how we can make ourselves happier and more stress free by abiding to these agreements. So, let me share the agreements one by one. So, you will have to make four agreements with you. The first agreement is going to be absolutely divided into some parts, which I will tell you. And one more thing before I actually get into the presentation, let me share that whatever I will be sharing in the whole presentation, I will put a summary also of this, of maybe 2 minutes or 3 minutes at the end of my presentation. So be with me, and I'm very sure once the presentation is complete, you will find yourself, enriched with lot of learning, enriched with lot of great things. So what is agreement one? So agreement number one is you will have to be absolutely impeccable. Now, what do you mean by impeccable? Impeccable means absolutely flawless, perfect with your words. Now, when I say flawless and perfect with your words, what does I mean? uh, it says that you will have to speak with honesty, and you will have to speak absolutely kindly. Okay, now you will have to say, when you will have to say what you mean. You will not have to manipulate your communication. So whatever the agreement one is, you will have to be perfect in your communication, you will have to speak honestly, you will have to be very kind to people, and you will have to say what you mean. Don't say bad things about yourself to others. That's the next part of it. Because many times what happens is we tend to say a lot of bad things about ourselves, our health, our family, our social you know attachments, and other lot of other things. Yeah. So you will have to use words to spread truth and love. So let me put agreement one into place once again. Be impeccable with your words. Speak honestly and kindly. Only say what you mean. Don't say bad things about yourself to others. I'm not talking about don't say bad things about others to others, but I'm saying don't say bad things about yourself to others. What is the benefit of that? That I will tell you later on. You will have to use the words to spread truth and love. Now let me further explain it. Now, agreement one, why it matters? One matters because your words are more powerful and can create good or bad things. with others or to others. And speaking truthfully and kindly will build trust and respect. When you speak with truthfully to the person you are talking to, or you're speaking with a kind, you are using the kind words, you are bound to get trust and the respect from the second person. Now, it will help avoid fights and misunderstandings and getting in argumentations. Why? Because when you're talking absolutely facts, you're talking unmanipulated things, you're talking absolutely kindly, why a person, second person, will be annoyed on you? He cannot be annoyed on you even if there is a matter of argumentation, there is a topic which actually can generate argumentation and disconnect between you and the second person. Now, what are the tips how you can actually follow this agreement? I'll give you a tip and summary of this agreement, which will be very, very effective for you to put it into place. So before you say anything, okay, you will have to think. That's the first tip. Second, consider how your words might affect other. Because many times what happens is I say something to others without even putting any cognizance of what I am saying. So in that process, the other person can take it other way around. So you will have to sometime put your feet into the shoe of other person, and you will have to analyze that if the same other person says the same thing to me, how I'm going to take it. So that is going to be the tip number two. Now, you will have to say positive things about yourself and avoid gossiping about others. What happens is we tend to gossip about others, that that person is this and that, and we try to pass out the time. And sometimes there is no need of gossiping about any other person, but still we do that. In that process, we are actually downgrading our own self, downgrading our own persona, and maximizing the chances of disconnect and getting into bad relationship with the other person for whom we are talking about to the to any individual. Okay. Now, what is that second agreement which I will make with myself? The second agreement which I will make with myself is, don't take anything personally. Many people, what they do is, if anything, somebody has said anything to them, they will try to ponder on the fact, and they'll try to take the stress to such an extent that it could actually impact their health, it could actually impact their sleep, it could actually impact their day-to-day life. So you will have to forgo things, you will have to listen to things, you will have to just ponder on things. Don't sit on the things which other person has said to you, share with you, or don't stick to those words. You will have to take things absolutely very casual way, first of all, and then you will have to ponder on it. Whatever is important, what you feel that should be taken as a learning, take it. Rest, you throw it out. Okay. Now, what is this point two of agreement two? You will have to understand that what others do is not because of you. Yeah. Do you have a control on somebody, who is your friend, who is your colleague, who is your neighbor, or who is your relative? Do you have a control on his actions, and you feel that he is going to do as per your understanding? He will do everything as per his understanding. So you will have to understand that what others are doing is not because of your perception, they're doing it because of their perception. Okay. Now, point number three of agreement two is, people's action and words show their own thoughts and feelings. Because, if my friend is doing something, if he's saying something, he's putting anything in place, okay, so it is not my feeling which he is trying to express. It is his own feeling which he's trying to express. This is absolutely his own thoughts which he's trying to express. So that is the agreement two which he will have to make with yourself. So if you don't take things personally, you won't be hurt by what others says to you. Yeah. Otherwise, what will happen is, anybody saying anything to you, take it from this ear and throw it from this ear. That is what you will have to do if it is a negative thing. If it is something which can actually add some value to you, definitely you should listen to it, you should ponder on it, and accept it as a learning, and whatever you can do on that, go ahead with that. Now, let me explain this agreement 2 to you. Why this agreement 2 is mattering to you. Agreement 1 I have already explained. This is agreement 2 which you will be making to yourself. It will help you avoid unnecessary pain. You will stay calm. You will stay happy, and even when others are upset, you will be absolutely in your balanced approach. So you don't need approval from others to feel good about yourself. That is the explanation for agreement 2. Now, when I've explained agreement 2, let me give you the tips for this agreement 2. What is the practical tip I would like to give? How you can actually, abide and stick to agreement 2? You will have to try to understand why others act the way they are doing. You will have to think on the parameter. If somebody is abusing you, somebody is doing negative thing with you, somebody is not behaving the way you are expecting, you will have to find out that why. Again, linking to that same book, Simon Sinek Why book. Everything you will have to get into the why of it. Okay. So the tip number one is you will have to understand why the other person is responding the way he is responding. Okay. Point number two of tip two is focus on your own feelings and benefits. If you focus on your own feelings and it's not benefits, sorry, I take my word. Otherwise, it will be self-oriented approach. Don't focus on your own benefit. Focus on the mutual benefit. I'm not saying focus on other person's benefit only. Rather, I would like to say that focus on the mutual benefit of. You cannot, if you have two chapatis to eat, if you give both the chapatis to second person for his benefit, then you will die. So you will have to share that chapati, one chapati with him and one chapati you will eat. That is called as mutual sharing. So focus on your own feelings and beliefs. And most important thing is stop seeking approvals from others for anything you do. Don't expect that somebody will come and somebody will guide you. Somebody, definitely, if he is an experienced person, if he is a learned person, you always should approach him. You always should go to that individual and ask him, because that individual must be having plethora of experience backing up his communication. Okay. So you will have to remember that other people's opinion are about them, not you. That is tip number last tip for agreement 2. Now, what is that third agreement which you will make with yourself? One agreement you have made, second you have made. Now, third agreement which you will make is don't make assumptions. Because if you make assumptions, the problem is you will have the courage to ask questions. You should have the courage to ask questions and express what you want. Like, for example, if I want somebody to behave nicely or behave properly, so I should have that courage to ask questions to him if he's not behaving the way he should behave. So you will have to express to that individual. Don't presume that the person will come to know about this from somebody else or somebody will take the initiative. I will give you my own example. Okay. In my neighborhood, there is a singer, okay, who sings late night, maybe at 1, 12, or 2 o'clock in the midnight. Okay. So because I am in a deep sleep, so I don't bother who is speaking, or nothing happens to me. But my next neighbor, he's absolutely stressed. And he just shared with me that this is what is happening and damaging his sleep, quality of sleep. So I told him, why don't you go and tell him? Because he might not be intentionally doing it. He might be doing it that whatever he is doing is under the four walls and nobody is hearing it. Until and unless you have the courage to ask questions and express what you want from the other person, you will never come to know. So you will have to go to that individual and you will have to have that courage to express that what you want. Okay. Now, what is the point number two? You will have to communicate clearly to avoid misunderstanding and drama. Why? Because if you try to manipulate your talk, if you try to uh, put some goody things in a talk which has to be very professional or which has to be very straight, then you will have to use that straight talk. So you will have to communicate absolutely clearly to avoid any kind of misunderstanding and disconnect with the second person. Okay. Now the last point when it comes to the agreement 3. So don't assume you know what others are thinking or feeling. So sometimes what we do is we assume that we know what others are thinking or feeling. This is their own brain, this is their own persona, this is their own identity. Let them feel whatever they are feeling. Okay. So let me explain this agreement 3 into 3 parts. One, assumptions lead to confusion and argumentation. So when you assume, when you presume things, you will have confusion and you will get into argumentation. So don't assume. You will have to have clear communication which will build honest relationship with the second person. It will help avoid unnecessary conflicts and sadness in your relationship. So that is what is agreement 3. Now, what are the tips how you can ensure these points which I've told you in agreement 3? How you can do that? Very simple. Let's understand. So you will have to ask questions to understand others better. If somebody is saying something, if you have not understood what he is trying to say, ask questions. The more questions you ask, the more you delve into, discussion, the possibility of for you to understand that subject is very high. Now, that's the tip number 1. Okay. And what is the tip number 2? You will have to make sure you understand what others are saying. So you will not have to presume, you will have to make sure that what others are saying is absolutely, what they mean to say. Now I'll give you an example. I'll ask you one question, though it's a unilateral communication, one way communication. I'll ask you one question. The question is, what is the difference between, listening and hearing, and what do you mean by communication? So as per me, my understanding, I'm not talking about anybody else thought process, I'm talking about my own understanding. What is communication? Right communication is, if somebody is saying A, I should presume, understand, and perceive this A as A. If somebody is saying A and I am presuming, understanding, and behaving like I have understood A as B, then it is not communication. How and which language you use, that is secondary. You speak in English, you speak in Hindi, you speak in your regional language, that is absolutely secondary. But whatever your language you are using, so if you're saying A, you must ensure that the person who is listening to you get the point as A, not as B. What is the tip? Next tip, you will have to listen carefully to others talk. Otherwise, what will happen if you are busy doing your own, chores, or busy thinking of your own projects, or you are busy thinking of your own, day-to-day thinking, then possibly is that you will have problem in understanding what others are saying. Okay. Now, what is the last tip for agreement 3? Tell others what you want and need it clearly. So you will have to communicate to the other person absolutely clearly that this is what I want from you. Otherwise, what will happen is that you will keep on thinking that the person will understand. Nobody will understand it. Even if the child is not crying, mother will not understand the child is hungry. So what it means? It means that you will have to speak, you will have to use communication in order to make yourself understand, and that too absolutely clear communication, absolutely impeccable communication, absolutely flawless communication. Okay. So let me jump into agreement 4. What is agreement 4? We need to understand what is that agreement 4 which I will be making with myself. I told you that you will have to make 4 agreements with yourself to be a great human being, to be a successful human being, to be a human being for whom everybody would like to have a kind of mentorship through him. So what is that agreement for? Always do your best. Okay. So like for example, I'll give my example to you, because I know myself better, so I can give only my example. I am thinking of doing presentations in medical. I'm thinking of doing presentations in pharma. I'm doing thinking of doing medication presentations in finance. I'm preparing myself to do presentations on training and development. I'm preparing to give a presentation on different domains of my own liking or not. But that is what I'm trying to tell you, is that I'm actually giving challenge to myself that this is what I have to do. So your best will change depending on how you feel. Do your best in every situation. Doing your best will help you avoid regret and self-criticism. Why? Because if you have done your best in order to, like for example, I have a daughter. Okay, she's doing her best in order to get into her competitive exams. Whether she gets into the exam, she cracks the exam or not, that will take a backseat. That is secondary for us. But what is appreciable for us is she is doing her best. And this best of her will avoid any kind of regret and self criticism to her, because at the end of the day, whether she gets into or cracks the competitive exam or not, she will have a backup in her mind that she did her best. So that is this agreement 4 which you have to do with yourself. Now, let me further explain this agreement 4 for you. You will have to try your best to help you grow and improve. Now, if you ask me, what is my age? I'm at 47. Okay. 47 completed, 48 running. So if I am 47 completed, 48 running means what? Can age be a factor for your growth? Can age be a factor for your learning? I say no. You can actually reverse your aging. You can actually, continue to learn multiple things. At this age, if I can learn artificial intelligence, I'm a student of artificial intelligence. I'm using artificial intelligence in making my presentations and all those stuff. So which what does it means? It means that life is all about learning. Age has got nothing to do with this learning. So it makes you feel good about yourself. You will feel that whatever you're doing it perfectly, and you're doing it absolutely different than others. Otherwise, what will happen is people at some age, they feel that this is where I will have to give a break. So for learning, I don't think there's any break which is required. Yes, you can give break to multiple things in life, but for learning, I think it's an ongoing process, and you must continue to learn. So you won't feel bad about mistakes because you did your best. That is what it is. Okay. Now let me directly get into integrating these agreements and how to use these agreements in your practical approach. This is going to be the most important slide. These four slides will be the most important slides, that how do you integrate these points which I have told you as agreement 1, agreement 2, agreement 3, and agreement 4. Now let me put it in place. Practice thinking about these agreements every day. Reflect on your actions and thoughts regularly. Promise yourself to live by these agreements. Find support from friends and family who understand these ideas. Get in association with those people who are same minded, because he or she will motivate you, and other way around. So you will get to have a kind of companion who can motivate you, and you will get the motivation from him. Okay. And vice versa. Now, what are the benefits of these agreements which you have made with your benefits of practicing these four agreements? Is number one, you will have more personal freedom and control over your life. You will have a better relationship with others. You will be more peace and much happier. You will have greater understanding of yourself and your emotions, and you will actually avoid a lot of possible argumentations if you speak absolutely impeccable. So let me put the summary of all these agreements. What is the first summary? Be impeccable with your words. Speak truthfully and kindly. What is the second point? Don't take anything personally. Understand that others' actions are not about you. Number three, don't make assumptions. Ask questions and communicate clearly. Sometimes what we assume is that the other person has understood what I'm assuming. No, don't do that. Ask questions and communicate absolutely clearly. And summary four is always do your best. Do your best in every situation to avoid regret. Like, for example, I have been doing these, YouTube sessions. You can pick up any initial videos of mine. I was absolutely raw. I'm not saying I am even 10% of, I am holding a 10% expertise on YouTube videos. I am just a student, and I believe that whatever I'm doing is 90%, there is a lot to explore. But I'm doing my best. So that is why I don't regret, because in many of my presentations, I've experienced and tasted a lot of failures. Failures in the sense that I'm not able to connect, my presentation is not working, whatever I have planned, it takes the backseat at the verge of presenting. So a lot of things, unexpected things are happening, but I'm still very happy. Why? Because I don't regret. I am happy because of the situation I have created, because I worked very hard in order to make myself presentable. Now whatever is happening externally is secondary, because I feel that I have done my best. That is what I can do. About other things, it is beyond my control. I can do only one thing. I only ensure that the things go the way I want. Now, the final thought. What is the final thought? You will have to have these agreements are simple but very powerful. I know I have not spoken and shared anything out of the box. I've not spoken anything out of this world. I've spoken everything which is already known to you. Now, only thing is, we will have to practice them to change our life. We will have to start today and see the difference they make in our life. Now, you will have to welcome these agreements for a happier and free life. Now, let me give you one example. You must have seen many people putting alarm clock in the morning. They try to put a clock at 4 o'clock. They want to get up. Okay, so once the clock rings in the morning, what they do? They put a snooze. for 5 minutes. And what thereafter they do, they again put a snooze for another 5 minutes. So what they are doing in this process, they're cheating themselves. They're starting with the day with a ditching to their own commitment. So, my dear friends, you will not have to do that. You will have to be a great person, and you will have to be impeccable. Don't take things personally. Don't make assumptions, and do your best so that you should not you should not have any kind of regret in your life. Okay. I believe that my presentations are actually, workable, and these presentations will help you, me, and everyone to grow. So your feedback are highly acceptable, and I'm waiting for your feedback. Please do share your feedback with me, so that I should be able to express myself much more in a much more easier way and much more communicative to you. Only thing is, my sincere submission and request to you, all of you, is that please help me establishing my channel, because I am trying to establish this channel from a multifaceted approach. I'm trying to establish this channel individually from the approach of covering most of the things which in day-to-day life anyone wants to actually develop his own persona or medical aspect of it, or training and develop on anything else. So please help me out in order to establish myself, and keep on liking my videos, and keep on forwarding these videos if you feel that there's somebody who can be benefited by these presentations. So please don't hesitate in doing that. I'll appreciate it. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening ahead, and see you tomorrow, maybe in the morning. Thanks.